Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all good? I hope so. Y'all, let's go ahead and get into chapter 3. This is going to be part 1 of chapter 3 of Faith Under Fire, and chapter 3 is titled The Fire, okay? And everything that I'm saying in this video is in my opinion. The Copyright Act of 1976, Section 107, gives me fair use of this book review, okay? So let's get into it. So, LaJoyce and Steven made it back to New York on December 18th. Mama Mo picked them up from the airport. She asked Steven thousands of questions about the honeymoon. She wanted all the details. LaJoyce noticed that when Steven talked with his mom, that really took the edge off of him. So she made a mental note that Mama Mo was the secret weapon when it came to calming him down. Back at her job, everybody was talking about how lovely the wedding was, and for those who couldn't make it, they wanted all the details too. But since she had been away from work for like 21 days, she needed to really catch up. So the details about the wedding would have to take place another day. Well, now it's Friday, and the phone starts ringing at 2 in the morning. LaJoyce could hear an operator telling Steven to write down a number and call his younger sister. Steven was irritated, and he said, what has she gotten herself into this time? He called her back, but all LaJoyce could hear was, what's up? When? How did that happen? And all of a sudden, he let out this sound that was really not a sound. It was more like silence. LaJoyce took the phone from him and asked, what happened? The news shook her to the core. There had been a fire at Mama Mo's house. The oldest sister had to jump out the second floor window, and she was being rushed to the hospital, but Mama Mo, she was burned in the fire. LaJoyce wanted to make sure she heard the sister correctly. So she said, dead? The sister said, yes, please hurry up and get here. LaJoyce told her they were on the way. When she looked over, Steven was on the floor pounding the ground asking, who am I going to tell my secrets to now? My mother is gone. She was so good to me. Who am I going to talk to? She shouldn't be dead. LaJoyce hugged Steven, said a prayer with him, and told him that his sisters needed him. And even though things hadn't been the best between them, they needed to stick together right now. And they had to go. So they got dressed and was out of the house in like 15 minutes. On the way to Mama Mo's house, LaJoyce called her parents and let them know what happened. They said that they were on their way. So she also called her godmother in California, but they got the answer machine. Steven said, leave a message. And LaJoyce said, absolutely not. That's not the kind of message you leave on somebody's answering machine. Steven agreed, but his emotions were everywhere. Before she knew it, he had extreme road rage. He kept trying to hit the car in front of them, screaming at the man to move because his mother had just died and he didn't have anything to lose. So he better get out of his way. LaJoyce told him, pull the car over, because she was going to drive. But Steven ignored her and kept trying to run into the back of the man in front of them. Luckily, the guy turned off on another street, and then Steven put the pedal to the metal and drove top speed all the way to Long Island. When they got to Mama Mo's, it was like a crime scene, like just a scene out of a movie. There were police, EMTs, paramedics, investigators everywhere. The house was burned to a crisp, and as soon as LaJoyce saw it and remembered that Mama Mo was still up in that house, she threw up. Steven tried to run in the house, but the neighbor stopped him and had him sit on the porch across the street. Mama Mo's neighbor, Mr. Ingraham, told LaJoyce how he tried to save Mama Mo. He said the baby sister ran over there. She was pounding on the door to let them know what happened. He took his ladder, ran across the street, put it to Mama Mo's window, and he climbed up there. He heard her screaming. He was like, just listen to my voice. Follow the sound of my voice. Just follow my voice. But it was like she wasn't getting closer. And all of a sudden, the pressure from the fire flew out the window and cut his head open. When LaJoyce looked at his head, she threw up again. They had been out there for so long, the sun was rising, and LaJoyce was shivering so much that Mr. Ingraham's wife took her to their house, laid her down under some warm covers, and told her to just get some rest. LaJoyce said that she prayed and cried herself to sleep. So she had slept for a while, and when she got up for her nap, they headed to the hospital to check on Steven's oldest sister. The doctor told them that she had second and third degree burns on her hands, arms, face, and the back of her head. And since she had fallen asleep in her wool dress and robe, that's what saved her. The doctor said that she would need skin grafting and lots of therapy. And since her injuries were so severe, they had transported her to the burn unit. When they finished talking to the doctor, they looked around and the paramedics were rolling Mama Mo into the hospital in a black body bag. LaJoyce threw up again, and a nurse asked how many times had LaJoyce done that, and Stephen said since this morning. So the nurse took LaJoyce to a room and gave her an IV drip and an orange flavored Gatorade and told her that she was dehydrated. Once her drip was finished, she felt so much better. So she went out into the waiting room to, be of some assistance. When she looked around, she saw Claudette, but Claudette was staring towards the door, and she said, "Wait, is that Darlene?" Darlene was Stephen's ex-wife. When Stephen looked up and saw Darlene, he was scared out of his mind. He turned Darlene around in a whole nother direction. LaJoyce could see them talking, and he was pointing at her. She could hear Darlene say that she was happy about his marriage, but she just wanted to give her condolences, and she asked him to let her know the date of the funeral. But with his sister having such a long recovery time ahead of her, they decided that the funeral would be a memorial whenever she was able to attend. LaJoyce's parents made it in, and they were ready to help. So everyone headed over to the house to see what they could salvage. Stephen found the garment bag that LaJoyce's wedding dress was in, but it was destroyed. She cried and she told Stephen, just throw it out, just throw it out. LaJoyce's mom, she was on paper duty because if anything needed a meticulous eye, her mom was the one for the job. As her mom was going through all of the papers, she suddenly got this strange look on her face and quietly called LaJoyce over to show it to her. Even though the paper was burned in a few places, it was still legible, and it was a hospital receipt for an HIV antibody test, and it had Stephen's name on the top of it. LaJoyce and her mother looked at each other curiously. Her mom turned LaJoyce around and pushed her in the direction of Stephen like, "Baby, go handle your business and find out what this about." She kept looking through the paperwork, but she also kept a good eye on LaJoyce and Stephen. LaJoyce pulled Stephen to a corner of the room and showed him the piece of paper. He barely looked at it, which meant he knew exactly what it was. Then he said, "Everybody has one of those tests at some point in their life." Then he kissed her and stuck the paper in his pocket. LaJoyce went back over to her mom, to help her continue to look through the papers, but they didn't bring the subject back up until Stephen left. So her mom asked her, "What did Stephen say?" LaJoyce told her Stephen said it was just a test that everybody takes. So her mom was like, "Have you?" She said no. She said, "Me either." LaJoyce said if they had gotten married in New York, state law would have required a blood test, but in Chicago, it wasn't a requirement. Her mom was like, "Yeah, okay, we'll see if it's just a test everyone takes at some point in their life." And she kept on looking through the paperwork. Okay, y'all, that was part 1 of chapter 3. What do y'all think about this? There were so many red flags. So I don't know. This is good. Y'all get down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to y'all later.